Hi there. Today I want to give a quick overview, introduction really, to our world-class sales best practices study that we conducted with Korn Ferry late last year. We gathered data in September and October of 2021, then conducted our analysis and our write-up of the study, releasing it in late January of this year. As we approach mid-year, thought it would be fun to do a little deeper dive into the report, not just have it available for download, but actually review some of the findings and invite your conversation and your interpretation. The Sales Best Practices study is a biannual study. When we were standalone as CSO Insights, our flagship survey was the Sales Performance Optimization Study, the SPO survey, which we did every year. And Miller Heiman Research Institute did the Sales Best Practices or World-Class Best Practices study each year. When they acquired us in 2015, we started doing them every other year. So the SPO every other year, and then the years in between, the odd-numbered years, would be the best practices. You may know that Miller Heiman was acquired by Korn Ferry in the fall of 2019, and under a joint research agreement, we helped them out with a few more studies. This was the last one. Again, we released it in January. So let's jump into it. People talk about world-class and best practices, but the way we defined it with the Miller Heiman folks in Korn Ferry is we started by surveying 60 plus sales behaviors. And then when the data was gathered, the analysis was to identify the 12 behaviors with the highest positive correlation with 4 metrics. And the 4 metrics were the percentage of annual revenue plan attained, the percentage of sales professionals or sales reps meeting or exceeding their quota, the outcome of forecast deals, not pipeline, but forecast opportunities, won, lost, or no decision, in total rep turnover, both voluntary and involuntary. When we had those 12 identified, then the firms that said that they agreed or strongly agreed that they exhibited those behaviors in at least 10 of the 12, those became the world-class cohort among all the firms surveyed. We had over 900 respondents, again, 60 plus behaviors. 5.8% of those respondents agreed or strongly agreed that they exhibited at least 10 or more of those top 12 behaviors. And so that gave us a population or a cohort of 54 firms that were world-class. What I'm going to do today is run through the half dozen behaviors that were a repeat in 2021 from 2019, and in the July office hours and overview video, we'll go through the second 6 behaviors that coincidentally were all new in 2021. So it was an interesting mix. In top 12, 6 were repeats from 2 years prior, 6 were brand new for the year 2021. So let's jump into it. The first of them was we effectively use call planning tools to prepare for customer interactions. The world-class group, 74% agreed that they do this, as compared to the rest of the survey population, which we're calling all, 24% agreed. And what's interesting to me, and a little confounding, frankly, because this would seem like one of the easiest behaviors to exhibit or to agree or strongly agree that we do this all the time. This is actually the lowest percentage for both groups. World-class, 74%. You'll see all the others, the other 5 we're going to go through today, are much higher. And even for the remaining population, 24% agreeing they do this, is the lowest for that group, which is a little mind-boggling to me. But again, anticipate nothing, be ready for anything. I'm going to be very interested in having a conversation with those of you who attend the June office hour in terms of why you think this is, not what it is, but why you think it is. The second one is that managers consistently coach salespeople to higher levels of performance. And here you can see it jumps up into the 90s. 94% of world-class firms agreed that their managers consistently are coaching people, while less than half of that, 41% of the all or remaining population agreed. This isn't surprising, and coaching is one of those things that everybody agrees and the data fully supports is a best practice and is a number one contributor to improved performance. And yet we see, less than half of firms feel their managers are consistently doing it. Moving on to the third best practice, our talent strategy ensures we have the people capability to achieve our business goals. You can see this also is up in the 90s. 94% of world-class firms agree that they do this, while basically a third, 32% of other firms feel that they're doing this. Thing worth pointing out here in 2022 during the Great Resignation is, again, this data was gathered in September and October of 2021. So that was, still pretty much well within COVID. Of course, we had vaccines by then, but, people being locked down, people having time to think about whether they were coming back, people having work from home, and really embracing that, I think is reflected in these numbers for sure. Beyond that, the other thing that I think is important is this strategy to ensure it. This also predated, again, this was one of the behaviors pre-COVID that was a top 12 best practice. And I think the thing to point out there is these world-class firms consistently have a pool of talent or a bench of talent that they developed so that they can continue to staff up and meet their business goals. So not surprised to see it repeating, and again, really great practice. The fourth is we have a rigorous forecasting process which drives forecast accuracy. Jim and I have been saying for years that forecast accuracy is an oxymoron. And it really is too bad that that's true because, it's so important. And when you have predictability, it reflects in such a positive way in other functional areas of the firm that it's a sorry thing to see. Only 6% of the 900 firms, the world class, 92% of them agree they have this rigorous forecasting process. The rest of the firm, only 39% agreed that they have a rigorous forecasting process. And I think that's reflected in, the continuing disappointments that we see around and frankly, failures to accurately predict or forecast sales that we see over and over again. It's been true for years and it still is. Another is sales management, operations, and enablement are effectively aligned to drive results. World class, again, 94%. You'll see that over and over again. The only one that isn't was the pre-call planning. 94% agree with this. 39% agreed, which means 61% of all did not agree that they do this. And this is one that is not going to happen overnight. And the next one is very similar. Sales management, ops, and enablement are effectively aligned to drive results. That speaks volumes to the culture of an organization. And as you know, that's not something you change overnight. That's something that evolves and is enforced and reinforced over time. And it, as you can see, pays off for these firms. And this last one we're going to talk about today, sales, marketing, and customer service are effectively aligned on what customers want and need. Once again, an amazing level of agreement or alignment. 90% of world-class firms, only 39% of all feel that they have that. And again, this is no surprise. I think the friction or often the conflict between sales and marketing, which everybody's pretty familiar with, historically anyway, and then between sales and customer service. There are lots of things to be addressed to make this happen on an ongoing, consistent basis. And again, that's how these behaviors qualified world-class or top best practices. To be in the top 12, they had to agree or strongly agree that they consistently did these things. So those are the first 6 we're going to talk about, and all 6 of those repeated from 2 years ago. We're going to cover these in the June office hour. Attendees will be able to download a copy of the report. And the reason I'm reminded of that, in addition to just crunching the numbers, we had a number of appendices, 3 or 4, I believe. And one of those has a worksheet to specifically look at this issue. We'll talk about that during the office hour in June. So that's it for today. Hope you enjoyed it, and look forward to seeing you on June 9th, 10 a.m. Pacific.